In 2026, on April 29th, we began a bus tour from Spring Lake Park for a 6-day trip to Holland, Michigan. After a short lunch stop, we arrived in Madison and visited the Albrecht Botanical Gardens. Spring was still in its early stages, but the grounds were well worth the visit. The weather was pretty stable for our whole trip. It was mostly dry and sunny, but there was a cool breeze. A locally based artist, Jennifer Angus, curated this installation with insects arranged in patterns on the lobby ceiling and inside glass bowls, highlighting the insects' roles in the ecosystem. We drove on and spent the night at the Riverview Inn in Rockford. In the lobby is a replica of the Florentine Il Porcellino, a bronze boar statue on a £6,000 hand-cut granite base. The boar is often used for good luck by visitors, who rub its nose and drop a coin in its mouth. The next morning we drove to the Indiana Dunes State Park. It was sunny, but the wind was cool. The only sheltered area was a boardwalk between the dunes. We then drove to a brew pub in Michigan City for lunch. The service was slow, but the food was good. After eating, we continued to Holland. Because we'd lost time going through Chicago, and because of the slow lunch, we as a group decided to skip the planned group dinner. We started our first full day in Holland with a step-on guide, starting at the ice park, which was opened in 2025. We then stopped at the Centennial Park with its gazebos, brick-paved walkways, fountain, koi pond and tulip flower beds. There's also a Wizard of Oz sculpture garden, complete with a yellow brick road outside the library. In 1899, Frank Baum, author of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, vacationed in the Holland area. Parts of this classic tale were most likely written or worked on while he was there. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was published in May of 1900. Evergreen Commons is a non-residential resource for older adults. We had lunch and watched children perform Dutch dances demonstrating their costumes and clogs. We drove to Tulip Immersion, a display of 65,000 tulips and hyacinths in elevated displays, showcasing the flower's history from Turkey through the Netherlands to Holland and Michigan. Hyacinths act as a protective barrier because they are toxic and unpleasant to deer, while tulips are a favourite deer snack. We had a formal dinner on the top floor of the Tulip Hotel. The knives were a unique design, but they were hard to hold and to lay down neatly. We started our Saturday at Windmill Island Gardens. It was sunny, but there was still a cold wind. This was the first full day of the official Tulip Festival. The flowers were all in full bloom. Our next stop was at a quilt show. We drove to Nellie's Dutch village and ate some pulled pork for lunch before exploring the village and its display of Dutch crafts and products. We ended our visit to the village by the old street organ, watching clog dancing. We started our journey home with a tour of the Van Raalte farmhouse and barn before driving to lunch at Culver's south of Gary, Indiana. After lunch, we drove to the Ho Chunk Casino Resort at Baraboo, Wisconsin. On our final morning, we returned to Minneapolis, stopping for coffee at a newly established animal rescue farm with some animals on display in a petting zoo.